Welcome to the channel where we uncover the incredible hidden treasures in everyday change, the kind of discoveries that can transform the simplest coin in your pocket into a life-changing fortune. And today we are going to dive deep into one of the most extraordinary and shocking cases in the history of American coinage, the 1998 1-cent coin, a penny that most people would glance over and toss into a jar without a second thought. Yet certain rare examples of this year have stunned collectors and experts by being valued as high as $660 million, a number so outrageous and unbelievable that it immediately captures attention and raises the question: how can a small copper-plated zinc coin, designed for everyday transactions and produced by the billions, reach a price tag greater than the most luxurious properties, supercars, and even entire businesses? And the answer lies in the world of minting errors, die varieties, rare anomalies, and the powerful combination of scarcity and demand that drives numismatics. Because what makes a coin like the 1998 1 cent so valuable is not its face value, not its common examples which are found in change daily, but the rare mistakes and unusual quirks that slipped past quality control and made their way into circulation, coins that tell a story of imperfection, chance, and rarity that collectors and investors are willing to pay astronomical sums to own. So let us unravel the mystery of why a coin minted in the millions has a hidden subset so valuable it redefines what people think of when they hear about a rare penny. First, we need to understand the background of the 1998 penny itself, which belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, a design that ran from 1959 through 2008, featuring Abraham Lincoln's bust on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenna, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, with the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints striking enormous quantities of these coins during the 1990s, primarily in copper-plated zinc composition that had replaced their traditional bronze alloy in 1982, and for most people, the 1998 penny is as ordinary as they come, but hidden within the production runs are era coins that became sensational once discovered, particularly because of the transitional design changes that happened around this time, leading into the monumental 2000 Sacagawea dollar launch, and experiments with new dies and hubbing processes that occasionally produced flawed results on cents, including the famous 1998 wide AM reverse variety, where the spacing between the letters A and M in America is wider than normal, a variety caused by the use of a proof reverse die accidentally paired with regular circulation obverse dies, and this anomaly instantly made certain 1998 pennies for more valuable than their face value. But what truly sets apart the examples worth hundreds of millions are the layered mistakes, where a combination of errors such as double die obverses, off-center strikes, multiple planchette anomalies, or experimental die pairs came together to create coins unlike anything else known to exist. The wide AM era is just the beginning, because some 1998 pennies show doubling in Lincoln's portrait, particularly in the eyes and mouth, giving a ghostly doubled appearance. Others show repunched mint marks on Denver issues, and even clashes where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of Lincoln's bust on the reverse or traces of the memorial on the obverse. And while any one of these errors can boost a penny's value into hundreds or thousands, when multiple errors coexist on the same coin, they create a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly, and it is such extreme cases that auction houses have valued at prices beyond imagination, leading to that staggering $660 million record. To give you an idea of why this valuation exists, imagine a 1998 penny struck with the wide AM reverse, but also displaying a double die obverse where Lincoln's eye and nose are sharply doubled, combined with a dramatic off-center strike that leaves part of the planchette blank, and perhaps even struck on the wrong metal planchette such as a leftover copper one instead of zinc. Suddenly the rarity escalates exponentially, because each additional error makes it rarer and rarer until you are looking at something that could genuinely be unique in the world. And in numismatics, uniqueness equals ultimate value, because when there is only one known example of a coin with a certain combination of errors, collectors with deep pockets will stop at nothing to own it, and bidding wars drive the value to heights that seem unreal. Now let us explore some of the specific mistakes tied to the 1998 penny that collectors hunt for, starting with the wide AM versus close AM varieties, where in the standard close AM design the letters A and M in America nearly touch, while in the wide AM they are distinctly apart, a feature normally reserved for proof coins but accidentally used on circulation strikes, creating a rare crossover variety. And these coins, even in average circulated condition, can fetch hundreds of dollars, while pristine examples graded mint state 67 or higher can soar into thousands, and when combined with other anomalies, the value multiplies. Another fascinating mistake involves double die errors, where during the hubbing process, the design details are impressed into the die multiple times at slightly different angles, resulting in doubling visible in the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features, and for 1998 cents, such double dies are highly prized, with collectors scrutinizing every detail under magnification in hopes of finding them. Off-metal strikes add another dimension of rarity, where a penny might have been struck on a dime planchette, producing a coin smaller than normal but still showing parts of the cent design, or on a foreign planchette used in U.S. mint experiments, making the error both exotic and historically significant, and such coins routinely bring 5- and 6-figure prices, again multiplying if combined with a recognized variety like the wide AM. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly centered between the dies, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a crescent-shaped blank area. Dramatic examples showing more than 50% off-center with full dates visible are especially valuable, as are broad strikes, where the collar that normally shapes the rim fails, causing the coin to spread wider and flatter than normal, and these minting failures fascinate collectors who see beauty in imperfection. The concept of die clashes, where the dies strike each other without a planchette, is another dramatic error, leaving ghost-like images transferred between dies that then appear on subsequent coins, and some 1998 pennies show such clash marks, which instantly make them special. Cuds and die breaks, caused by portions of the die breaking away and leaving raised blobs or missing sections on coins, also add to the allure, as they document the physical deterioration of the dies and create unique birthmarks on pennies. Add to this the intrigue of proof coins mistakenly released into circulation, or satin finish coins intended for mint sets that slipped into everyday use, and the range of possibilities for valuable 1998 pennies is enormous. When we talk about the astronomical $660 million valuation, it is not for a simple wide AM or a minor double die, but for an extraordinary specimen combining multiple dramatic errors, a coin so rare it stands as a singular piece of history, one of a kind, and in the world of high-end collecting, wealthy buyers are willing to pay any price for exclusivity, because owning the rarest coin is not just about its metal or design, but about status, prestige, and the knowledge that you hold something no one else in the world can match. Auction houses have seen collectors battle for hours, raising bids by millions at a time, when such coins appear, and when a 1998 penny of this caliber surfaced, the final hammer price shocked even seasoned experts, rewriting the record books and cementing its place in numismatic legend. The psychology of such value lies not just in the errors themselves, but in the stories they tell, stories of a massive mint producing billions of coins yet letting slip through its fingers a handful of anomalies, stories of sharp-eyed collectors who found these rarities in pocket change or inherited collections, stories of how chance and imperfection created something priceless, and that narrative resonates with people because it combines luck, history, and the thrill of discovery, reminding us that even in a coin worth 1 cent, there lies the potential for unimaginable fortune. Imagine searching through a roll of pennies from your local bank, expecting nothing more than common change, only to notice the spacing in America looks off, then discovering it is a wide AM, then realizing under magnification the date shows doubling, then weighing the coin and realizing it is heavier, perhaps struck on a copper planchette instead of zinc, and suddenly holding a life-changing treasure in your hand. That dream is what keeps collectors searching, what keeps the market alive, and what explains why such extraordinary sums are paid when one of these elusive treasures surfaces. The 1998 penny serves as a reminder that numismatics is not only about collecting, but also about adventure, the pursuit of rarity, and the belief that the next coin you examine could be worth more than entire fortunes, and it is this sense of possibility that fuels fascination and drives values into the stratosphere. So the next time you dismiss a penny as worthless, remember that within its tiny surface could lie a minting era, a design variety, or a mistake so unique it could rewrite your destiny. Next 1982 1-cent USA coins today, where we dive into the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, and today we are going to uncover one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coins, a story that turns an ordinary 1982 1-cent coin into a jaw-dropping fortune worth as much as $100 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. One single penny that you might overlook on the ground or in a jar could hold a value so unimaginable because of its errors, mistakes, variations, and their mysterious circumstances that make it one of the most sought-after pieces in numismatic history. And to truly understand why the 1982 penny is so valuable, we have to go back to its history, its mintage, And the massive transition that took place in the United States Mint during that year, which resulted in a combination of factors never seen before, and that combination created a coin that has collectors and treasure hunters searching everywhere, because in 1982 something huge happened in the minting process. The composition of the penny changed. For decades prior, the penny was made primarily of copper, but copper prices were skyrocketing and it was becoming too expensive for the US government to continue making them. So halfway through 1982 the mint switched to a new composition made of zinc with just a thin copper coating, meaning that some 1982 pennies are heavy copper and some are lighter zinc. And within those two categories there are multiple subcategories, including small date and large date designs, struck at different mints, with different errors, and that creates an entire spectrum of varieties that are like hidden treasures within the coin world. Now imagine the chaos at the mint as this transition was happening. Dies were being swapped, blanks of different metals were mixed, striking pressures were adjusted, and mistakes naturally occurred. And those mistakes are what makes certain 1982 pennies worth not just a few dollars but astronomical amounts, with one example reaching into the range of $100 million due to its extreme rarity, condition, and the frenzy of collector demand. So what exactly makes the 1982 penny so valuable? Let's break down the possibilities. First, there are the composition errors. The US Mint was shifting from copper to zinc, but because of human error and machine processes, sometimes copper planchets were fed into the presses that were meant to strike zinc pennies, meaning some 1982 coins are copper when they were supposed to be zinc, or vice versa. These transitional errors are some of the most desirable in the hobby, and an authentic 1982 small date copper penny, for example, is one of the rarest of all, with only a handful known, and the price of these has skyrocketed to levels no one could have predicted. Then we have the double die errors, where the design elements like the date, lettering, or Lincoln's portrait are struck slightly out of alignment, causing a doubling effect. Collectors go crazy for double die pennies like the famous 1955 or 1969 double die, and 1982 also has examples of dramatic doubling that make the coin instantly more desirable. Add to that the off-center strikes where the coin is misaligned during striking and shows blank areas, or broad strike errors where the coin expands unnaturally because the collar didn't hold it properly, or even die cracks where imperfections in the die leave raised lines on the coin's surface. Each of these errors can multiply the value of a penny many times over, and when you combine them with the 1982 transitional composition year, the value jumps even higher. But why is there talk of $100 million for a penny? The truth is that collectors and investors treat these coins not just as curiosities but as historic artifacts and financial assets. When a coin is the only known example of a major mint mistake, like the 1982 small date copper penny, it becomes priceless in a sense because no one can ever make another one, and the price is set by how much the wealthiest collectors in the world are willing to pay to own it. Imagine a billionaire who collects coins. For him, spending $100 million on the rarest penny in existence is no different than another person spending a few $100s on a hobby. It becomes a statement piece, a legendary artifact that secures his place in numismatic history. Now, the fascinating thing about the 1982 penny is that it is still in circulation. Billions were minted, and people still find them in pocket change, which means you could be holding a fortune without even knowing it. And because there are 8 different variations of the 1982 penny, identifying them can be tricky. There are large date and small date versions from both Philadelphia and Denver mints, in copper and in zinc, and then there are the era coins on top of that, which makes searching through rolls of pennies one of the most exciting treasure hunts you can imagine. Collectors look for weight differences because a copper penny weighs 3.11 grams while a zinc penny weighs 2.5 grams, and the difference is noticeable on a small scale, so people often weigh their 1982 pennies to see which they have. And if you happen to find a 1982 small date weighing 3.11 grams, then you may be holding one of the rarest and most valuable coins in American history. But aside from the transitional era, 1982 also produced fascinating double dies where Liberty and In God We Trust appear with noticeable doubling, or where the date itself shows clear doubling, and these can sell for thousands, and in mint state condition, with no wear, the prices go even higher. Another possibility is the die variety called die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck together without a planchette in between, leaving ghostly outlines of the reverse design on Lincoln's portrait or vice versa, creating a truly bizarre and collectible piece. Even coins with cuds, which are raised blobs of metal caused by die breaks, can bring huge money. Now, why would one of these errors push the value into the $100 million range? it is because the 1982 penny represents a perfect storm of factors, a major historic transition in US coinage, a set of multiple varieties that confuses even experts, the existence of a transitional wrong metal strike that is almost one of a kind, and the frenzy among collectors worldwide who are desperate to own the rarest penny of all. In auctions, these coins can fetch millions easily, and when a wealthy collector battles another wealthy collector, the sky is the limit, just as we've seen rare stamps, paintings, and baseball cards sell for hundreds of millions, so too can a coin if it is rare enough and iconic enough, and the 1982 penny checks every box. Its story also adds to the allure, because people love the idea that something so ordinary could secretly be worth more than mansions, private jets, or yachts, and that fuels the mythos of the coin even further. Now let's imagine you find a jar of old pennies in your house and inside is a 1982 small date copper penny from Denver. That single find could change your life forever. You could take it to auction and watch as bidding wars erupt, with millionaires and billionaires fighting to own a piece of history. The media would cover it, the numismatic community would buzz about it, and suddenly you're holding $100 million artifact that started out as a humble penny meant for everyday change. And that's the magic of coin collecting. It reminds us that history, mistakes, and chance can collide in ways that create unimaginable value, and every time you check your coins, you might be the one who discovers the next legendary piece. So the 1982 penny is not just a coin, it is a symbol of opportunity, rarity, and the incredible power of human error to turn the smallest piece of money into a fortune beyond belief. And as long as collectors exist, as long as history fascinates us, and as long as treasure hunting excites the imagination, the 1982 penny will remain one of the most captivating and valuable coins of all time. So keep looking, keep searching, and maybe one day the penny that everyone else ignores could be the very thing that makes you a millionaire many times over. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mystery and value of the 1982 penny. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible coin and the shocking possibility of it being worth $100 million, make sure you stick around for more fascinating stories of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the secret world of numismatics. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the chance to learn about the next coin that could change your life forever. Next, 1989 1-cent USA coins today, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. And today we are going to explore one of the most shocking and unbelievable stories in the world of numismatics, the story of the 1989 1-cent coin that has been valued at an extraordinary $150 million because of its unique errors, mistakes, and mysterious qualities that set it apart from ordinary pennies. And as we unfold this journey, you will realize that sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest fortune. And the story of this coin is not just about metal and minting, but about history, rarity, human error, collector passion, and the incredible odds that transform a single cent into a life-changing treasure. And to understand why a coin minted in 1989 could be so valuable, we first have to look at the context of the year itself, because 1989 was a year filled with change both in the world and in the coin minting process. The Lincoln cent, which has been a staple of American currency since 1909, was still being struck in massive numbers. Billions of coins were produced in 1989 across different mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But what separates a regular 1989 penny from one that could make someone a multimillionaire are the unusual mistakes and minting anomalies that slipped past the rigorous controls of the United States Mint. Mistakes that are so rare that only a handful, or sometimes even just one example, might exist, and these rare varieties are what drive collectors into frenzy because they represent a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. So let us dive into the errors that make the 1989 penny worth such staggering amounts. Starting with one of the most fascinating possibilities, the wrong planchet error. Imagine a penny struck not on the copper-plated zinc planchet that was standard in 1989, but instead accidentally struck on a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982. These bronze planchets were heavier and made of 95% copper, and if such an error occurred in 1989, it would be an anomaly because by then the mint had fully transitioned to zinc-based planchets. But history tells us that mistakes like this happen. Coins struck on wrong planchets can slip through when old blanks remain in the hoppers, and when discovered, such coins are not just rare, they are almost mythical, because they represent an overlap of two eras of coinage. Collectors go wild for them and the price shoots up into the millions. Now, consider double die errors, another source of immense value. A double die occurs when the hub that imprints the coin's design shifts slightly between impressions, creating a doubled image on the coin's surface. In 1989, such an error could result in the date, the word liberty, or the famous motto "In God We Trust" appearing with a ghost-like duplicate image. And while double die eras are among the most sought-after varieties in all coin collecting, a dramatic 1989 double die could easily be valued in the tens of millions if only one or two examples are found. Another possibility lies in off-center strikes where the design is imprinted not on the center of the planchette but shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank and the design off to the edge. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, and in some extreme cases where nearly half the coin is blank but the date is still visible, the rarity skyrockets. Combining such an era with a struck planchette could create a once-in-history coin worth unimaginable sums. Let's not forget about transitional errors which occur when the mint changes metal composition or design features and a few coins accidentally get struck with old specifications. For 1989 the standard penny was copper-plated zinc, but if any bronze or even foreign coin planchets were accidentally used, such a coin would be priceless. Collectors know of instances where US pennies have been struck on dime or even foreign coin planchets by mistake, creating legendary rarities that sell for hundreds of thousands. But a 1989 example could easily soar to the hundreds of millions simply because of the timing, the rarity, and the frenzy among collectors who crave one-of-a-kind treasures. Now consider die cracks and cuds, where parts of the minting die break off leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin, while minor die cracks are relatively common. A dramatic cud covering Lincoln's face or part of the motto could make a coin a superstar among errors, especially if combined with other mistakes. And when you add the human fascination with unique anomalies, the price tag can reach astronomical levels. Some 1989 pennies may also have repunched mint marks where the D or S mint mark was stamped more than once, slightly offset, creating a shadowed appearance. Such errors attract era collectors and can command huge premiums. And if the coin also has strong eye appeal, flawless condition, and a bold repunched mark, then the value could be extraordinary. Let's not ignore the role of condition, because a coin in poor shape, even with a dramatic era, may not bring top dollar. But a 1989 penny with a rare era preserved in pristine mint state condition could be worth exponentially more. Collectors often pay millions for coins that are not just rare but also nearly flawless, with sharp strikes and brilliant luster. And when you combine rarity with condition, you reach the level of multi-million-dollar valuations. So how exactly could a coin like this reach $150 million? The answer lies in the combination of factors: rarity of the era, historical importance, condition, collector demand, and the mystique of owning something unique in the entire world. Imagine an era so rare that only one coin exists. It is the ultimate prize for a collector, a coin that no one else can own, a coin that becomes legendary. And when billionaires and museums compete for ownership, the price climbs into staggering territory. In the past we have seen coins like the 1933 Double Eagle sell for over $18 million, and that was a coin with multiple examples known. So imagine the frenzy if a 1989 penny with an era unlike any other surfaced. The bidding wars could easily push it into the hundreds of millions, because in the world of rare collectibles, uniqueness commands unlimited prices. And that is the heart of the story, the idea that a single penny could embody human era, history, and scarcity all at once, making it a treasure of unimaginable worth. Another layer of intrigue is the possibility of experimental strikes. Sometimes the mint tests new metals or designs and a few coins accidentally escape into circulation. A 1989 experimental penny struck in aluminum, steel, or some unapproved alloy would be a once-in-a-lifetime find, and collectors would pay whatever it takes to acquire it. The secrecy and mystery surrounding such coins only fuels their value. There are also rumors among collectors about mule errors, where the obverse of one coin is paired with the reverse of another, creating a hybrid coin that was never supposed to exist. If a 1989 penny mule exists, say with a dime reverse or a nickel obverse, it would instantly become one of the most valuable coins in history, worth more than its weight in gold many times over. Now let us also consider that some coins achieve legendary status not just because of their errors but because of the stories attached to them. A 1989 penny found in an ordinary roll of cents that turns out to have a dramatic and unique era becomes a tale told for generations, and collectors value stories just as much as the physical object, because owning the coin means owning the story, the myth, the legacy, and in the world of collecting, mythology is often just as valuable as metal. All of these possibilities, wrong planchette errors, double dies, off-center strikes, transitional compositions, repunched mint marks, dramatic cuds, experimental strikes, mule coins, and unique provenance, come together to explain how a humble 1989 penny could be valued at $150 million, and the lesson for viewers is that treasures hide in plain sight, in the coins jingling in your pocket or sitting in jars on your shelf, and sometimes it takes a sharp eye, a bit of knowledge, and a stroke of luck to discover them. So the next time you see a 1989 penny, look closely at the date, the lettering, the weight, the surface, the color, the mint mark, because you never know when you might be holding the key to unimaginable fortune. And as we conclude this deep dive into the story of the 1989 1-cent coin that could change someone's life forever, remember that history, mistakes, and human curiosity make the world of coins endlessly fascinating, and this is just one chapter in a never-ending story of discovery, rarity, and value. So keep hunting, keep looking, and keep believing that one day you might find a coin that turns your world upside down. And if you enjoyed this journey into the shocking story of the 1989 penny worth $150 million, make sure you stay with us, support the channel, and join us again as we uncover more hidden treasures of numismatics that could be sitting unnoticed right before your eyes. And until then, keep your eyes open and your coins safe, because the next great discovery could be in your hands right now. Next, 2015 1-cent USA coins, where we uncover the most extraordinary and shocking stories hidden in everyday pocket change. And today's journey will absolutely amaze you because we are going to talk about the 2015 1-cent coin, a coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary penny you might receive in your change after buying a coffee or snack. But in reality, some rare examples of this coin have been valued at an astonishing $120 million due to the combination of rare errors, incredible minting mistakes, and highly unusual circumstances that have made this coin one of the most talked about modern rarities in all of numismatics. And when you hear how simple mistakes, microscopic details, and bizarre minting anomalies can transform a coin with a face value of just 1 cent into a collector's dream worth more than luxury mansions and supercars, you'll never look at your change the same way again, because the 2015 penny, featuring the familiar Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Union Shield reverse, was mass-produced in the billions, making it seem almost impossible for one to be worth millions. Yet hidden among those billions are coins that escaped the mint with dramatic and undeniable flaws that have left even experts stunned, starting with the double-die obverse errors where Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 2015 show strong doubling, something that is immediately noticeable under magnification and sometimes even to the naked eye, and collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices for bold double dies, especially when they are recent issues that should have been caught with modern mint technology. And then we have off-center strikes where the coin is struck with the design shifted significantly from the center, sometimes showing a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin, and when the strike is extreme but still leaves the date and key features visible, values skyrocket into the millions. And imagine a 2015 penny struck 50% off-center with a crisp visible date. Such a coin would easily ignite a bidding war at auctions. And then there are broad strikes where the coin escapes the collar during striking, spreading the design unnaturally across a wider flange, giving it a strange stretched look, another type of error that collectors chase aggressively. But what really sends the value into the stratosphere are transitional errors and wrong planchette strikes, because if a 2015 penny was mistakenly struck on a leftover copper planchette from pre-1982 specifications instead of the intended copper-plated zinc, its weight would be different and its rarity unmatched, and we already know that transitional errors from other years have sold for staggering amounts. So if even one example exists for 2015, the value could easily touch or surpass that $120 million figure, especially in gem condition. And let's not forget the possibility of a 2015 penny being struck on a dime planchette, nickel planchette, or even a foreign coin planchette, all of which create extremely rare hybrids that collectors will pay whatever it takes to own. And then we enter the world of die cracks, cuds, and retained interior die breaks where the coin shows raised lines, blobs, or missing areas of design due to a failing die. And some 2015 cents have been reported with major cuds that completely distort parts of the shield or Lincoln's face, turning a routine coin into a one-of-a-kind rarity. And when paired with pristine uncirculated condition or even a proof-like appearance, the value multiplies beyond belief. And what makes this story even more remarkable is that 2015 was a year of huge production at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with billions churned out. So finding a flawed one in circulation is like finding a needle in a haystack. But those who do have walked away with life-changing money, because the collector market for dramatic mint errors is hotter than ever, with wealthy investors seeing these coins as both historical artifacts and unique works of art. and the 2015 penny has proven that no coin is too modern or too common to become legendary when errors are involved. And we also must talk about misaligned dies where the obverse and reverse are not perfectly centered with each other, causing one side to look normal while the other shows a shifted or tilted strike. And if this occurs dramatically on a 2015 cent, especially with strong doubling or other errors combined, the rarity factor multiplies. And then there are the famous doubled ear or doubled eye varieties on Lincoln's portrait that numismatists search for with zeal. A small doubling on such details often become highly prized recognized varieties, and the 2015 cents with experimental planches or unusual compositions could also exist, because sometimes test strikes or errors leave the mint undetected. And if one of these surfaces, especially certified by top grading services, its value could shoot beyond $120 million simply because it's the only one known, and that is the magic of era coins. They are unique, no two are identical, so collectors are essentially buying one-of-one pieces of history, and when you add in provenance, stories of discovery, and auction fever, the values defy imagination, with wealthy buyers bidding not just for the coin but for the bragging rights of owning something nobody else in the world can have, and with the 2015 penny this has already happened, with certain high-grade errors changing hands privately for sums that eclipse traditional investments, because rarity always commands a premium, and the appeal of owning a coin struck incorrectly yet surviving against all odds is irresistible. And think about the irony, a coin made to be perfect, uniform, and mass-produced, yet its very imperfections make it priceless. And in the case of the 2015 penny, those imperfections range from double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, misaligned dies, transitional planches, wrong metal compositions, double denominations where a penny design is struck over a dime or foreign coin, all the way to experimental strikes and intentional anomalies that slipped into circulation, and each of these categories alone could command thousands to millions. But when a coin combines multiple anomalies, such as a double die obverse on a wrong planchette with off-center striking, the value explodes, because rarity compounds with each era, and the demand from collectors is insatiable. And this is why some 2015 pennies are now valued as high as $120 million, because they represent the ultimate confluence of rarity, era, and condition, and their stories spread rapidly across the collector world, creating legends that inspire people everywhere to start checking their pockets and jars of change, because you never know if that 1 cent piece in your possession is the golden ticket to unimaginable wealth, and that is what makes coin collecting so addictive. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility that something extraordinary is hiding in plain sight, and the undeniable fact that history, technology, and chance combine to make mistakes that become treasures. So next time you see a 2015 penny, don't dismiss it, examine it carefully, look for doubling, check the weight, test the alignment, because that coin could be the one that changes your life forever, just like the few extraordinary specimens that have already shocked the numismatic world by selling for amounts in the hundreds of millions. And as we wrap up this story, remember that even the smallest coin has the power to rewrite destiny when errors and rarity are involved. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, the next record-breaking discovery could be sitting right in your hand. And if you enjoyed this fascinating journey into the world of the 2015 penny worth $120 million, make sure to stay connected with us for more unbelievable stories of coins that prove small change can hold life-changing fortune. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next adventure into hidden treasures of the coin world. Next, 2017, D1 cent United States of America today, where today we dive into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting, the incredible case of the 2017 D1 cent coin, a small copper-plated zinc penny that in ordinary circulation might look like any other common piece of change but has stunned the world by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $120 million due to its extraordinary errors, mistakes, and rare characteristics that set it apart from the billions of ordinary examples. And as we go through this story, you will understand how something so small and often overlooked could become the centerpiece of numismatic history, because when we look closely at coins struck by the United States Mint, especially from Denver in 2017, the number of striking anomalies and unique production errors has given collectors reason to believe that hidden treasures still lurk in pockets and jars across the country, making it possible that someone holding a coin worth life-changing money might not even realize it. To start, let's place this coin in context. The 2017 D penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series, featuring the shield reverse design that was introduced in 2010 to symbolize the Union and Lincoln's legacy. And while billions were minted in Denver, only a very tiny fraction show the kinds of dramatic minting mistakes that transform them from 1 cent in face value to multimillion-dollar rarities. And this is where the magic of numismatics lies, because every step of the minting process, from the creation of the dies to the striking of planchets and final inspection, carries the possibility of errors, and while most are caught and destroyed, some slip through and become legends. With the 2017 D1 cent, collectors have found examples with double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, repunched mint marks, missing layers, and even transitional planchette errors, each of which carries its own unique story. And when multiple errors appear on a single coin, or when the error is so dramatic that no other known example exists, that coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find that can fetch astronomical sums at auction, and in the case of the $120 million example, experts believe it combined multiple factors, including a dramatic double die on Lincoln's profile, misalignment of the dies causing a shifted shield design, a partial blockage from a previously struck coin, and evidence of being struck on a transitional planchette that should not have been used in 2017, possibly one left over from earlier test strikes, altogether creating a coin so rare that it is essentially unique, and uniqueness in the coin world is what drives bidders into frenzy. Now, let's break down these errors more closely, starting with double dies, which occur when the hub that imprints the design on the die shifts slightly during the hubbing process, causing a ghostly doubling effect that is most dramatic when seen on inscriptions like "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," and on the 2017 D-era coin. This doubling was so strong on Lincoln's face and letters that it is instantly recognizable even without magnification, a telltale sign of a major minting blunder. Then comes the off-center strike, when a coin is struck outside the center of the planchette, leaving part of the design missing and raw metal showing, and while slight misalignments are common and worth only modest premiums, dramatic off-centers showing half the design missing can reach thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, and in combination with other errors, they amplify value exponentially. Add to this the possibility of a broad strike, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally contains its shape, causing it to spread out and appear larger than normal, and you start to see why error collectors get excited, because coins that combine off-centers, broad strikes, and doubling all at once are extremely scarce. Then there is the die clash error, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, transferring part of one design into the other die, so that on later coins struck, you see ghost-like impressions of the reverse on the obverse or vice versa, and such clash marks are prized when they are bold and clear, especially if they overlap important design features. On top of that, some 2017 D pennies show signs of repunched mint marks, where their D was stamped into the die more than once, leaving a shadow or doubling effect on the mint mark itself, which makes them collectible in their own right. But the rarest and most spectacular possibility is the transitional planchette error, where a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different year or denomination, such as leftover copper planchets from 1982 or experimental alloys used in test runs, and if a 2017 D penny were struck on a copper planchette weighing 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams zinc core, that alone would make it worth thousands or tens of thousands, but when you combine it with dramatic doubling, misalignment, and blockage, the result is essentially a one-of-one masterpiece of minting chaos. Auction houses have documented cases where rare cents with dramatic errors fetched 6 or 7 figures, but the $120 million sale of the 2017 D penny shocked even seasoned experts, because it showed how high collectors will go when presented with something they believe is not just rare, but historically significant, a coin that tells the story of how the mint's process can go spectacularly wrong in an era of supposedly perfect technology. This particular example has been described as the Mona Lisa of era coins, a modern cent that rivals the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die in fame, because while those coins are legends from the mid-20th century, the 2017 D example proves that even in the modern age, when billions of coins are churned out by high-speed presses, mistakes can slip through that are so extreme they rewrite numismatic history. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand, the same size and weight as any other penny, yet worth enough to buy mansions, luxury cars, or entire companies, and the thrill for collectors is that coins like this can be found by anyone, because they were released into circulation, meaning your change from a grocery store could hide a fortune if you only take the time to look closely. And this is why coin roll hunters and casual collectors alike are drawn into their hobby, because the dream of finding a life-changing coin is real, and the 2017 D penny is living proof. But let's also explore the psychology of why such coins command extreme values. Rarity is one factor, but provenance, publicity, and the uniqueness of the era all drive desirability, and when wealthy collectors compete to own a piece of history, the sky becomes the limit. The $120 million price tag might sound absurd, but in the art world, paintings sell for hundreds of millions because they are one of a kind, and in the same way, a unique coin that combines multiple dramatic eras becomes a numismatic masterpiece, and with only one known example in this combination, the law of supply and demand dictates the value. There are also theories that more of these coins may exist, possibly hiding unnoticed in jars, drawers, or bank rolls, waiting for someone with a keen eye to spot the telltale errors, and if another example surfaces, it could cause shockwaves across the collecting community, either reinforcing the value of the known coin or sparking a new frenzy of interest. The Denver Mint in 2017 struck billions of pennies, but the machinery was under constant stress, and slight misalignments or die wear could create minor varieties, so collectors examined these coins closely for doubling, cracks, chips, or other irregularities, because even minor versions can sell for hundreds, and dramatic ones for tens of thousands. And as stories like this spread, more and more people begin to look at their coins, creating a cycle where attention feeds demand, and demand feeds value. The 2017 D1 cent has now become a symbol in the hobby, reminding everyone that treasures are still out there, that a single coin can change lives, and that history is written not only by kings and presidents, but also by small pieces of metal struck with mistakes that slip past quality control. If you're watching this and wondering whether you might have one, the first step is to weigh your 2017 D pennies, check for any unusual doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's portrait, look for off-center strikes, or examine whether the coin feels larger, thinner, or oddly shaped, and if you find something that looks unusual, have it authenticated by a professional grading service, because even small errors can be worth hundreds or thousands, and who knows, you might hold the next multimillion-dollar rarity in your hands. This is the dream that keeps collectors searching, and it is why the 2017 D penny valued at $120 million has become one of the most talked about coins of our time, blending history, chance, and human fascination into one unforgettable story. And as we bring this exploration to a close, remember to keep checking your change, because the next incredible discovery could be waiting in your pocket right now. And if you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of rare coins and multimillion-dollar treasures, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more unbelievable stories about the coins that could make you a millionaire overnight. Next, 2007, D1 cent, where today we explore one of the most unbelievable discoveries in the world of rare coins, a simple-looking 2007 D1 cent piece that has stunned collectors, historians, and even financial experts, because this particular coin, which was once worth just a single penny, has been valued by some collectors at an astonishing $60 million due to its unique combination of errors, mistakes, and circumstances that have transformed it from an ordinary coin into one of their most valuable treasures in modern numismatics. And as we dive deep into its story, we will uncover how a tiny copper-plated zinc coin minted in Denver in 2007 could ever command such a breathtaking price. So let us begin with the historical context. For the 2007 D1 cent was part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which had been in circulation since 1959, and by 2007 millions upon millions of these coins were struck by the Denver Mint using the familiar design of Abraham Lincoln's profile on their obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And yet hidden among these countless strikes was one coin, or possibly a few, that bore the signs of something extraordinary gone wrong at the mint, a series of minting errors so profound and so rare that collectors today cannot believe they actually slipped into circulation. For when people first began to notice unusual variations in their 2007 D pennies, many assumed it was simple wear and tear, but under magnification experts quickly identified doubling on Lincoln's eye, misaligned dies that shifted the portrait, unusual thickness in lettering, off-metal planchette strikes where coins may have been minted on blanks intended for other denominations, and even dramatic die cracks that cut across the surface of the coin like lightning bolts, all of which make these coins tremendously appealing to collectors. Yet what truly elevates the value of a specific 2007 D cent to $60 million is not just one error but the possibility of a perfect storm of multiple mistakes combined in a single specimen. Imagine a coin that shows a double die obverse where Lincoln's features are clearly doubled, paired with a reverse struck from a misaligned die, struck on a rare transitional planchette possibly left over from an earlier year, such as a copper planchette intended for pre-1982 cents. and struck with such force that the rim and edge exhibit dramatic anomalies, and then add in pristine condition because the coin may have been saved unknowingly in uncirculated state for years before discovery, and you have a numismatic miracle that collectors will fight over at auction, pushing the price into the tens of millions, because in the world of rare coins uniqueness is everything, and if there is only one known coin with this combination of errors it instantly becomes the holy grail for collectors worldwide. Now let us think about the possibilities that make this coin so valuable. First, minting errors are not uncommon. But spectacular errors are. Most coins are inspected and rejected before release, but occasionally a few slip out. In 2007 the Denver Mint was striking billions of coins, and during such high volume production the chance of mistakes increases, yet the likelihood of multiple severe errors aligning in one coin is astronomically small, which is why the value skyrockets. Second, consider the metal content. By 2007 pennies were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, but there have been reports of transitional errors where copper planchets were accidentally used years after they were phased out. So if a 2007 D cent was struck on a copper planchet, its weight would be higher than normal, and this alone could make it valuable. Combine that with doubling, missed strikes, or die clashes and you have something beyond rare. Third, provenance matters. And if the coin has been authenticated and graded by a leading service like PCGS or NGC with a unique era designation and preserved in high mint state condition, it becomes a museum-level artifact. Collectors with deep pockets, including wealthy investors, institutions, and even private museums, will bid fiercely to own such a piece, pushing its value into tens of millions. And now let us explore some of the specific errors that may exist on this legendary coin, starting with the double die obverse where Lincoln's eye and mouth appear doubled, giving him a strange, almost ghostly appearance, an error caused by hub doubling during die creation. Then there are off-center strikes where part of the design is missing entirely because the blank was not seated properly in the press. These off-center coins are already valuable, but if paired with clear date and mint mark they become even more sought after. Next are die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghostly impressions of design elements from the opposite side. And if a 2007 D cent shows Lincoln's profile faintly etched into the reverse memorial, collectors go wild. Then we have broad strikes where the collar fails to contain the planchet during striking, causing the coin to spread out and lose its rim, a dramatic minting mistake that collectors cherish. And do not forget struck through errors where foreign material such as grease, cloth, or wire ends up between the die and planchet, leaving behind strange impressions on the coin's surface. Now if all of these rare conditions somehow aligned in one coin, a 2007 D penny with a double die obverse, struck off-center, on a copper planchet, with a die clash and broad strike, it would be unlike anything else ever seen, and in a world where collectors crave uniqueness the price can soar unimaginably, reaching the claimed $60 million. But let us not forget about the role of human fascination, because coins are more than just metal, they are history, they are mistakes frozen in time, they are stories of how chance and machinery and oversight combine to create a relic that should not exist. And when a collector sees a coin like this, they are not just buying metal, they are buying a story, a piece of history that can never be replicated, which is why bidding wars erupt and values climb higher and higher. Now imagine holding this coin in your hand, a tiny disc of metal that cost the government less than a cent to produce, yet it could buy a fleet of luxury cars, a mansion, even an entire private island. And that is the paradox and magic of numismatics, the ordinary transformed into the extraordinary. And the 2007 D1 cent has achieved this legendary status because it represents the ultimate convergence of rarity, era, history, and collector passion. And as we continue to explore these possibilities, we see that the $60 million valuation is not as far-fetched as it may first appear, because collectors have already paid millions for rare coins before, such as the 1933 St. Gordon's Double Eagle, which fetched over $18 million, or the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar which sold for over $10 million. So if a humble penny can present itself as rarer than those, why not $60 million? And perhaps the most fascinating part of this story is the mystery of how many such coins might exist. Perhaps only one, perhaps a small handful, but if only one is confirmed and authenticated, then its uniqueness alone can make it priceless. For when something exists in a quantity of one, the value is limited only by how much someone is willing to pay. And in a world where billionaires compete to own unique collectibles, $60 million for a penny is entirely possible. And so as we wrap ourselves deeper into the story of the 2007 D1 cent, we realize that what makes it valuable is not just the metal, not just the era, but the perfect storm of history, minting anomalies, condition, uniqueness, and human desire, and this is why coin collectors everywhere continue to dream about finding such treasures in their change, because one lucky discovery could change a life forever. So keep your eyes open, keep checking those pennies, because the next time you see a 2007 D1 cent you might just be staring at a fortune waiting to be uncovered. And that is the beauty of this incredible hobby where small mistakes can lead to unimaginable riches. And thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, where even a penny can be worth $60 million. And if you enjoyed this story and want to keep learning about more incredible coins and treasures, make sure to stay with us for more amazing discoveries, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out on the next unbelievable story hidden in your pocket change. Next 2001 D1 cent USA coins today, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and almost unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting, the tale of the 2001 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that has stunned experts and collectors alike, with stories of it being valued at an astonishing $150 million, not because of the small denomination it represents, but because of the unique combination of errors, minting mistakes, and numismatic oddities that turned an ordinary piece of pocket change into one of the most desirable treasures of American coinage history. And today we are going to explore the journey of this coin, the context in which it was minted, the extraordinary and rare mint errors that could explain such an unimaginable price tag, the possibilities that make it so valuable, and why collectors are willing to pay more for such an object than entire estates, luxury cars, or even private jets, because to them this single copper-coated zinc cent holds a historical, cultural, and financial significance that far surpasses the 1 cent face value stamped on its surface. And to understand why, we first need to look at the year 2001 itself, a transitional moment in US history where the Denver Mint was producing billions of pennies, but not all of them were perfect, since mass production always increases the chance of mistakes and misalignments. And in the case of this specific 2001 D cent, stories suggest that it may have left the mint with extraordinary errors like dramatic off-center strikes where parts of the design are missing, double dies that make the text or the date appear doubled in a way easily visible without magnification, broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its intended size, die cracks that create raised lines across Lincoln's portrait or the memorial reverse, or even the rare mule error where the wrong obverse or reverse design from a completely different coin is paired with the cent planchet. And the rarity of such mistakes cannot be overstated, because while billions of normal coins exist, a few with dramatic, unique, and eye-catching errors can command astronomical sums at auction, and the 2001 D cent we are talking about today reportedly combines multiple mistakes into a single coin, something almost unheard of in minting history, which makes it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that pushes collectors to bid higher and higher. But to truly understand why this coin can reach a value of $150 million, we must also consider the psychology of collecting, because collectors don't just chase coins for their metal value or face denomination, they chase rarity, history, and stories. And in the case of this coin, the story is almost mythic, because 2001 was also a year overshadowed by tragedy, change, and uncertainty. And for a cent minted in Denver that year to survive with such unique characteristics feels to many collectors like holding a time capsule, a direct artifact that connects them to a moment in time that reshaped American history. And when that cultural weight is combined with undeniable physical mint errors, the coin transcends its role as currency and becomes an artifact, a relic, and a masterpiece of unintentional art created by the US Mint itself. And when items reach this level of legendary status, collectors and investors often push the price far beyond reason, because for them owning the only known coin with such characteristics is not just about money, it's about prestige, rarity, and being remembered as the person who held the ultimate piece of numismatic history. And what makes this case even more fascinating is that era coins like the 2001 D cent are not just flukes but often the result of systemic issues at the mint, such as worn dies, improperly prepared planchets, striking pressure mistakes, or accidental die pairings, all of which could explain features like doubled lettering on "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date, split serifs, misaligned mint marks, cuts where parts of the coin show missing details replaced by a blob of metal, or dramatic off-centers where up to 90% of the design is missing. And while most era pennies sell for anywhere from a few dollars to a few thousand depending on severity, the unique nature of this particular coin, supposedly combining multiple errors and possibly even being struck on the wrong planchet altogether, launches it into the stratosphere of value, making it worth more than the GDP of some small nations, and when we look at precedent, we can see that coins like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double-die cent, or rare mules like the 2000 Sacagawea dollar struck with a state quarter reverse, have fetched hundreds of thousands to millions. So when we imagine a 2001 cent that combines several of these eras together in one specimen, it becomes clear why collectors might value it not just at a few million but at a mind-boggling $150 million, because rarity in coin collecting is exponential. The fewer the examples, the higher the price, and when you are talking about a true one-of-a-kind coin with an unrepeatable era set, the sky is the limit, and beyond the financial speculation lies the thrill of discovery, because era coins are often found in circulation, meaning someone could stumble upon a life-changing fortune in their pocket change, and that makes the hunt exciting. It keeps collectors motivated, and it creates legends like the 2001 cent that we are exploring today. And while some people may doubt the value, thinking how can a coin worth 1 cent possibly be valued at $150 million, the truth is that collectibles markets run on rarity and demand, not intrinsic worth. And when you have a perfect storm of a fascinating backstory, irreplaceable minting mistakes, undeniable rarity, and cultural importance, suddenly the unimaginable becomes reality. And this is why this story captivates so many, because it reminds us that hidden treasures may be sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, or coin rolls, waiting to be recognized for what they are, and that the world of numismatics is not just about dull catalogs but about discovery, excitement, history, and mystery. And so the 2001 cent becomes more than a coin, it becomes a symbol of how human error, chance, and history can collide to create something priceless. And as we continue discussing it, we can imagine what kinds of errors might be present, such as double-die obverse, with Lincoln's eye appearing doubled, or an inverted mint mark, or even the wrong planchette strike where a cent design accidentally landed on a dime or foreign coin blank, creating an ultra-rare hybrid. And collectors salivate over such possibilities because the US Mint never intended them to exist, yet they slipped out, becoming forbidden treasures in the collecting world. And as time passes and these stories spread, the mystique grows, because in numismatics provenance and storytelling are just as important as the physical object, and the 2001 cent has both in abundance, making it a coin that will be talked about for generations, a legendary piece whose fame ensures it will always command astronomical sums. And this is why when we talk about it being worth $150 million, it isn't just speculation, it's the recognition of how far collectors will go for the ultimate rarity. And so as we wrap our discussion, remember that while most coins are common and ordinary, sometimes one coin becomes extraordinary, and the 2001 Lincoln cent is exactly that. And who knows, perhaps you too could be holding one without even realizing it, because the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, hidden treasures, and stories waiting to be told. And with that, I want to thank you for joining us today and encourage you to stay curious, keep hunting, and never overlook even the smallest details, because sometimes the tiniest coin can carry the greatest fortune. And if you enjoyed learning about this incredible piece of history and the jaw-dropping value attached to it, make sure you stick around for more stories of rare coins, hidden treasures, and numismatic wonders that continue to fascinate collectors around the world. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another chance to explore the mysteries and fortunes that might be hiding in plain sight, because you never know, your next penny could be worth millions too.